All right. Next thing is shields.
Okay. Oh boy, I got a lot of shields.
Oh, yeah, I know. I see them, especially the pretty soft one. So, how did shields play a role in initiation rites or coming of age ceremonies for young warriors?
Gotcha. How did shields play a role in initiation rites for young warriors?
Yeah.
And here's the actual truth behind that one. They didn't.
What?
There's so much myth about shields, especially the Vikings, with a little bit thrown on the Spartans, where everyone's like, the young shield warrior, we must give you your first shield, young man, and so you can, I don't know. There's no connection between shields and initiation. I've heard that before. Like, there's a reason you've asked that question, because it's a common myth.
We like debunking myths.
Yeah. So. Why? What? I think it's that myth that we're talking about, where there's not history. We don't have true, detailed, scholarly records of memoirs and diaries of Vikings on their various raids, so we don't have that insight into their actual culture, military training, or upbringing. So we fill it in with whatever epic nonsense we want.
Of course.
You also have the Spartans, because they have an obsession since that movie came out, and earlier. With the shield, come home with your shield or on it, which is like win or die with your body. And it's like, okay, like it's epic. We're intentionally looking for these epic parts of history, when in reality, history is pretty epic in general. There's a lot of Viking with this question. It's just dripping with Viking fanboy. So I'm going to use this to also talk about another myth with Vikings shields, the shield wall, where there's a whole history behind it, which is very practical, of Vikings interlocking their shields to make a shield wall as a battlefield tactic, battlefield formation. Zero valid evidence for that. That is a very deep insight into history, a very specific way on how Vikings fought on the battlefield that we have no actual practicality or no actual use for. There's so much justification for the Viking shield wall. Now, I want to clarify, I'm talking specifically about the interlocking shields. There's plenty of evidence of Vikings forming a shield wall, but we don't know what that is. Like, could it just be a line of dudes with shields and spears? Yeah, that could also be a shield wall. But the practicality of creating a formation of interlocking shields, zero evidence for it. I've seen weird other variations where there's like people holding it lower, so it's a full wall, which we have zero evidence for. There's something called the boar's tooth formation, where there's one guy in front and they kind of follow back behind him. We don't have any evidence of Vikings doing that. We've got some evidence of later medieval soldiers doing that with other types of shields, or cavalry making a triangular formation later on, but not Vikings. So we're just throwing on whatever epic nonsense we want with Vikings.
They've just kind of been romanticized.
They have, absolutely. But the thing is, with a little bit of effort, you can dive into the true history of the Vikings, especially through archaeology. What I've got right here is a high-quality replica of the Gotland shield, or example of one Gotland shield, which is an actual surviving Viking shield, actually a collection of shields on a Gotland burial ship from the region of Gotland. And what they did in this particular ship burial is they lined the side of the ship with alternating black and yellow shields. We intentionally made this one with both colors, but the original ones would have either all been yellow or all been black, alternating. And we have, thanks to archaeologists, recorded the actual size, dimensions, and width and coloration of these shields. So I paid high money for this one. So shout out to our friends Birch House Woodcrafts for this one, or Birch House Workshop, who made this for us to our exact specifications as recorded by archaeological studies. And you get crazy things. Like, there's a lot of folks out there today who fight in what they consider a Viking fashion, and it's not just because they're fighting with Viking weapons. So they're out there, they'll hold their shields like this, and they'll kind of use them to take blows on the front. Whack, 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 thump, 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 thump. But if you really look at, one, archaeological evidence, and two, surviving Viking age depictions of Vikings or Viking proxies mid-combat, Very rarely are they, using these Viking shields as a practical wall. They're actually using it actively. They're holding it up in front of them like this and fighting alongside it as an active defense. More importantly, if you look at the archaeological finds, these Viking shields are incredibly thin, going down to millimeters thin around the rim, and even like no more than a quarter-inch thick in the middle here. That's really thin. That's super thin. So why would you hold your shield like this as a wall? But if you look at the archaeological evidence combined with the pictorial evidence, they hold their shield sideways because this is not a quarter-inch thick shield. This is a 1.5 foot thick shield that they have to get through this way. Vikings didn't hold their shields this way. They held them this way so that they could use it as an actual lightweight protection in conjunction with their sword. Myth and truth is way better than myth.
Mythbusters.
Oh yeah,
we're coming for their jobs.
Oh boy, historical mythbusters, hire me on.
This next one is beyond defense. How did shields serve as cultural canvases, displaying heraldry, religious icons, or tribal identity?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Not just heraldry. That's a prime example. Any 12-year-old obsessed kid can tell you about heraldry on shields. But if you go jump around to other parts of the world, you look at things like the tiger soldiers from China, where they embodied a uniform and a shield that looked like a tiger. They would have orange uniforms with stripes, and on their shield is a very motif of a tiger head, a very artistic tiger face on it. And that showed a sense, yes, there's some practicality that is recorded in primary sources. Like they would, if a horse unit was charging at them, they would duck behind their shield and kind of do this so it looked like a bunch of angry animals and scare the horses away. But it also showed a sense of a membership in an elite, cut above the rest unit, as a symbol of notice me, a symbol of status. The knights with the iconic kite shield that went all the way down shows at least a familiarity with using a shield meant for horseback, which shows that you are a cut above the rest too. That's a interpretation, I should say, of that one. The Polish hussars, the wings that everyone seems to love, they never actually wore those wings in combat, not the big ones. Those are entirely ceremonial, but their shields certainly looked like wings and had wings painted on them, again showing membership or a connection to the otherwise familiar winged hussars. So shields are very great. It's a blank canvas. Artists love shields. They're great. And of course, modern shields, there's a bunch of folks out there. I keep mentioning the Viking reenactment community because it's so popular. They take that and they run with it. There's so much like painfully decorated Viking shields out there, when in reality that they were very simple. But that just shows that you're a part of this kind of modern Viking revival movement. And hopefully you'll have some really nice things drawn on there and not bad things drawn on your shields, Viking people.
Viking fanboys.
Viking fanboys. But it's a blank canvas that we love to show off. And it's kind of like wearing your printed t-shirt today.
Yeah.
Put whatever you want on your shield. People know that you love, Shrek memes.
Oh my God. Shrek will never die.
Oh my gosh. Shrek is love.
All right. So you were talking about the ancient Viking burial ship.
Mm-hmm.
This next question kind of has to do with that.
Neat.
And it was, why were shields sometimes ritually destroyed or buried with warriors? And what did this signify?
Gotcha. So we can only speculate is the other thing. We really don't have a lot of surviving manuals or sources explaining the actual specific religious ceremonies. I'm not too familiar with broken shields as part of a ritual, but it definitely buried with them. And the prime example, like I mentioned, was the Gotland ship burial, where they layered the shields on the side of the ship, probably imitating what they would do in real life with shields on the side of their ship when they're going on expeditions, either for storage or additional protection or what have you. But I think the concept of shields with death is important, because shields, unlike a sword, which is traditionally, at least when used in conjunction with the shield, the offensive, the aggression, the killing. The shield is what protects you. It doesn't just protect you from cuts and shots. It protects you from the chaos and the uncertainty of the battlefield, the scary parts of warfare. And a lot of times you see soldiers who would otherwise run away, not doing so because they have a shield to kind of give them a little bit of psychological comfort. This is obviously not the main thing. I'm not saying that this is your safety shield, but having a shield in your hand is a definite way of giving you more strength or mental fortitude on the battlefield so you don't run away and thus lose the battle. So if you take that to death and the unknown, the what's behind the veil question of philosophy and humanity, what's beyond life, if you have a shield with you, you are at least prepared a little bit to have that comfort when you face the unknown in the afterlife. And I think that's really fascinating. And obviously it's not universal. We don't have there's no shields buried with Japanese samurai, for example. But you do definitely see a few connections to shields and death. And I think that that's probably a good answer, connecting a real world practical psychological use to the unknown of death.
So people that are terrified should go and get themselves a shield.
Yes, absolutely. It's your comfort shield.
So we have swords making us feel powerful. We have shields making us feel safe.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the Holy Trinity there.
Hand in hand. All right, so what have you got there?
So this is our pirate sword, which is like our version of a cutlass.
Okay.
And we take modern interpretations of historically mostly accurate weapons, because sometimes they were all built different. And we're kind of interested in your thoughts of it.
Oh, yeah. Let me take a look here.
Yeah.
So one thing I really like that you guys do is you don't do that kind of giant bowl that everyone pictures with pirate swords. Because believe it or not, that wasn't around in the pirate age.
Oh, okay.
That was definitely we're talking Civil War era bull guards on the cutlasses, which is very cool. And I definitely like how it has, if I can pull it out.
Yeah, go for it.
The curve to it. Now, one really fun myth is a lot of folks will say, pirate swords were short because they would fight on the deck of a ship or underneath the deck. So there's rigging and crates and things you have to avoid. And that's, if you really look at the history of naval warfare, that's definitely not true, because you have giant 6-foot great swords in the late Renaissance being used on naval ships. But I think the real reason that pirate cutlasses or cutlasses and naval cutlasses in general are short and thick is because tradition. The earliest one we have is it's Southern Italian merchants having a type of short, curvy sword, and they would be bringing that on their ships. And theoretically, that just kept going. Anyone who's been in the Navy knows it's a very traditional branch of military, and I think that holds true with cutlasses too. So if we're talking about specifically, would you go ahead and hold this one for us? And then if we're talking specifically, what I actually have are a couple examples of original pirate age cutlasses here. Now, of course, we'll never know if they were actually used by a pirate, because piracy is illegal, and you very rarely want to say this is the weapon that did it when you're trying to defend yourself in court. They rarely would do that, but we have a couple pirate age ones. This one, in fact, is probably the oldest true weapon in the museum's collection. We're looking at late 1600s, and it's a pretty low quality cutlass. But or cutteau, to use one of the various terms of the time. Cutlass, cutteau, hanger. There's so many different words for this kind of late 1600s, early 1700s. But what you see about this one is it's a very low quality weapon, which, sad truth, pirates were not very wealthy. They were very cheap, unless they came back from a very successful expedition, in which case they usually blew all their gold on alcohol, gambling, temporary girlfriends, things like that.
Barmaids.
Yeah, whatever word you want to say for it. So this is an example of a nice low quality one, something a pirate cutlass would bring on board for their first expedition. But the one in my hand here is actually an infantry cutlass, this one here, used probably by the militaries. Now it's important to point out that pirates didn't get military weapons. They were not soldiers. They were civilians, usually down on their luck. But this is still the type of blade that they would probably want to get their hands on. As you
Mhm.
can see, it does not have that big old bell guard that we were talking
Yeah.
about. But it has a very nice curve. We compare the curve to your curve here. We can hold it like a little sideways.
Yep.
You can see it's very lovely. And one of the joys of it is it's short enough that we can use it on foot rather than on horseback, like a later saber style weapon. So I like it. It's short for us fighting on foot, and I really like that. There's, of course, a lot of differences, such as historical swords. You should never do this with antique swords. Can do this, wah, and then you let go of it. Perfect. Perfectly straight.
Me for some reason.
Because I just bent a 300-year-old sword, but it popped right back because of the quality. And that's something that it's very rare to get today. But I like this too. It has nice heft to it. And another detail too, I don't know if you guys can see, this little curve here on the handle by the pinky, very good at making those cuts very useful. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's very good with curvy swords because it kind of helps you push with your lower fingers to really get that.
Yeah, I heard that.
So
only watched my light flash a little bit, but
I think it's very cool. It's very cool, and of course, the black of the blade and the black of the guard leaves no raw metal aside from the sharp edge where it's been ground out, which means it's very protected against rust, which is pretty good. Personally, I don't think a pirate would give two poops. They would probably just cover it with like pig fat and be done with it. But this is a good modern day equivalent about it, and I love the your iconic SABERSMITH wrapping on the handle. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, they enjoy their wrapping jobs.
But it looks like you've got a different weapon right there.
I do. This is our saber. So
ooh, fun stuff.
And you were talking about a saber.
I was talking about sabers. I've got some good stuff here. Let's take a look at this one. This one has some really beautiful designs on it, guys. I really like this. So, oh, wow, so fun, so light. Would you mind holding that?
Yeah.
This is wonderful. So what I like about this is definitely, so the difference between a saber and like a cutlass. Mm-hmm. Sabers are longer, usually, though not exclusively, meant for horseback riding. This one's really sick. Look at this little fang down here and the really iconic guard knuckle bow that you have here with your iconic SABERSMITH design. Very, very fun. It's okay.
You're good.
I'm a professional. One of the
That's what they all say.
That's fair. So sabers have a lot of different uses across time. You can look at like the early sabers, like the Shabla of the Hussar, and they have got big old swooping cuts like this. I want to make sure I'm in frame and not just seeing a sword like do this. So it's very fun. I like that. But then you also get the later like 1800s style, where they have a lot of influence from Scottish Highlanders, and you do a lot of wrist cuts like this. And that's really, really good. And I really like the grip of the handle too, because it does, if we look at an original. So what I got right here is an infantry saber from the Civil War. It's an original. And just to compare the handles a little bit here, I can always recognize a SABERSMITH sword because they have the iconic handle wrapping here, kind of crisscross, which I just felt just now. The grip, the connection that I have to my hand is really good. And it reminds me of this, which is an original Civil War officer's sword. And the grip is actually covered in a material called chagrin, which is difficult, if not illegal, to have today, which is essentially, it's essentially the leathered skin of a stingray or a shark or a ray of that family. And if I zoom in, I don't know if you guys can take a good look at it. The material of it it looks like dinosaur skin if you really look close up to it. I love the look of it, little nodules all over it. That, of course, combined with the looping twisted wire going down the handle. If you ever hold one of these originals with the chagrin and the wire, and you have a leather glove in your hand, it connects. It is like, it's not like Velcro, obviously, but you grip it, you don't feel like you're going to lose it. And I get that same feeling from your saber here of a good connection to your hand. However, the weight of this one does remind me more akin of this one here, which we have a mid-1800s Austrian officer's saber, and they both have a lot of heft to it. And I think that that's the important part because you have to remember that these are used on horseback. Now, obviously, we're not going to be riding down the horse at on a horse down the street at the Renaissance Fair. But it does show that kind of power and an oomph behind it. A saber is a very heavy one-handed sword. And I really like that. You can see the thickness of the blade is pretty comparable as well. One other detail, and I don't have an example in front of us here, but you do have a double fuller on your blade. Not a blood groove, not a thing. Oh, geez. Sorry about that. I just lost half your customers.
No, you're good.
So what you've got is a double engraving. I guess it's not a double fuller, but what you have is a nice thin fuller at the top here. Which is this groove in the blade, which is designed not to let blood out of a wound, but is actually for blade geometry and design and strength. And then a very deep bevel on the blade, leading a lot to the lack of excessive weight. It is a good force behind it with strength in the blade. So I think that's really fascinating. I really like that. A good comparison. And of course, you have that forward curving handle, just like we had on the infantry cutlass, that allows for that control of that looping with the pull of your pinky. Yeah. Very fun stuff.
I'll let you put it in there so I don't accidentally get stabbed.
Oh, my finger.
Well, yeah, that would be my luck.
When are you going to bring the next one out?
She snuck it over here.
All right.
So this one here we have is our Xiphos, which is newer.
Oh.
So is this, if I can get it off.
Looks like you can just kind of, there you go.
Okay, that's fine.
Gotta get ready to grab your sword. You know, you gotta do it any moment.
Right.
Whoa, look at this. Very cool. Wow. I also love the twisted wire you have underneath your handle there. Very pretty. And obviously the leaf blade is just beautiful and iconic.
This one I think has been a hot seller for us lately at the Renaissance Festival because it's newer. Is it this year it's newer?
And look at that. You got the purple iridescent style blade on there. Great to show off because, like, it's one thing to pull out a sword and you're like, ah, cool metal. But this is like, oh, dang. That is just a showpiece. I really like that.
The blue ones we have, a lot of people comparing to Sting from The Hobbit.
Orcs are close. Of course, it's constantly glowing blue. I love it. That's very cool. Very blade heavy, too, with this one. You're going to cut through whatever it is you're striking at with this. And it actually has a very wide base, which you see in a lot of swords. I even mentioned earlier many times, the Chinkadilla. Big old fat blade that kind of tapers slowly to a point. And you see that a lot, so it doesn't break. It's got a strong bottom. Most of the force when you're fighting with it will happen right here, and having a nice wide base is really good. Let's pull out the historical comparison. What we have here is a replica of a Macedonian Xiphos here. Not a perfect replica, but it's the closest we got here. You can see it still has the iconic look to it. I love it. The leaf-shaped blade, the small style crossguard, so you can use it around a shield. Very good, and a nice ergonomic grip on there. Very iconic to the warfare of the ancient world. I really like that. And you guys have a lot of blade geometry on this one too. I can see that you've got the nice central fuller and then the wide grinding areas on either side of it. And of course, going to a very sharp point. Good for cutting and stabbing, obviously, which is very nice. Yeah, very cool. Or you know what you could do? Dual wield it. Get two of them from SABERSMITH, and you'll be the hottest hoplite on the battlefield. Ooh, you can quote me on that. Hottest hoplite.
Ooh, we are.
All right, this is great. Very cool. I like the wooden sheath, too, or scabbard, I should say. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. The Viking sword. Oh, not? Gladius?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Very similar. Spatha, whatever.
Yeah. But, yeah, this is our Gladius.
Very cool.
I think she's filming still.
I hope so. Whoa! Yeah. Look at this. As opposed to that other one that we Xiphos earlier, this one's got that nice, like, this one looks sick. You don't want to get stabbed by this. This is going to spread out. It's going to spread your wound wide. Very cool. I very much like this. And look at this kind of star-shaped pommel down here. I like that. It's got almost a brass color to it, which is probably iconic to the brass
Yeah.
uh, swords that they would have at this time. Very cool. Again, little cross guards so that you could use use your gladius with a tower shield, which is why the Romans would have, in part, why the Romans had the littler
Okay.
cross guards, because it was always used in conjunction with a shield. So this is good. This is a good like homage to the iconic gladius of the Roman Empire. Definitely a one-handed sword too. Always a one-handed. I've never come across a two-handed gladius from the Roman Empire, but it's very cool and a nice big grip down here. You can hold it in a variety of different ways. I like that. And the blackened blade, of course, just looks sick. Looks awesome. Very cool. Very
gotta
cool.
have a cool blade to show off.
We get that color through the heat treatment process here at SABERSMITH. It starts at the satin finish, goes into the gold, and then eventually to blue. If we happen to pull it out before blue and too late for gold, it turns purple, which is not color we can actually aim for. So if you see a blade in that color, that is once in a lifetime.
Wow.
So pick it up if you see it.
That is cool stuff. I really like that. Awesome. Look at the design. This is like edgy. Very cool. Cool. Thank you. This is great. What else have we got?
Tons of things.
Tons of things.
We
Please
like
don't
our
stab
sharp,
yourself.
stabby things.
I can aim better when the sheath is in my hand, or the scabbard is in my hand, but it's so close to my hand.
Let me not drop this. So this is our hand and a half.
Ah ha ha! Very cool.
So
Awesome. So the hand and a half, very cool. Very common sword, also frequently called the bastard sword. Hand and a half sword is a sword that is designed in such a way that you could fight with it one-handed, or you could put two hands on it and fight with it two-handed style if you wanted to. Very cool because different fighting styles are good in different situations. And it's not necessarily something you'd swap in the middle of a fight. You'd probably choose the situation based on your tactical analysis of the situation and fight fully in that fight one-handed or two-handed. But very, very, very cool. Usually very well designed with its blade geometry to help that. And I can see that there's some little weights, little decorative inlays here, which probably help to make it good for fighting one-handed or two-handed. And of course, with the fuller and the deep grinds on the blades too, good for keeping the weight light. And you can fight with it one-handed or two-handed, depending on what the situation is. And of course, look, you've got your beautiful grip, and I can see even a textured green leather on the underside of this handle. Don't forget, folks, if you're getting a SABERSMITH sword, look at the handle, because that's the part that people are going to see when you're walking around. Don't forget about what we talked about before with the importance of blades as part of your look or your vibe or your representation, because when this is on your hip like this, the color scheme is awesome. It's really great stuff. And of course, you guys have taken it to another level with the shape of the pommel too, which is not something you see. You do see different shaped pommels historically, but like this is a very like notice me pommel. I like it.
So we're making people show their wealth.
Yeah, lots of ability to show off with this one in a good way. And I think that's very cool. Lots of movement and being able to fight with it with various techniques. Love it. Very practical.
No stabby today.
And all my hand and a halves are at home too, and I didn't even realize that.
So this is our 6-inch dagger.
Oh, very cool. Let's take a look at this. I love that it's in a nice wooden core scabbard here.
Yeah.
Held on with a built-in, I mean, they all have the built-in blade, but you can just picture this on your waist belt, walking around, showing off. And look at the copper wire, the twisted copper wire on the underside of the handle. I love it. Very good. Oh, this is good. I
feel sneaky now.
I am very sneaky. I feel like this is also like perfect for if you love hobbits or halflings, which is something that I can only dream about being. But one day I'll shrink. But this is very cool. I love it. And you know what? This feels really solid. Like it feels. I don't know how to describe it. You guys can't see it in the video, but like holding this, I feel like in control of it. It's very nice. There's also no annoying pommel on the top, or I should say the pommel is nice and small and controlled, so you can easily switch to an ice pick or a traditional style grip with it. Very cool. And of course, you've got the like iconic black like nighttime, not night with a K, but like assassin style. Like it's darkened on the outside
Assassin's
for like
Creed now.
Oh yeah, well then you gotta like stick out the wrist blade. You guys got to make me a custom Predator wrist blade for that.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
This is very cool, actually. I like this one.
It is our most popular, so
yeah, I don't doubt it. That's awesome. Very cool. Thank you for that.
And this here is our Viking Sax.
Ah, the sax.
Or as I always want to say, CX.
I was just going to say, if you want to be a historical snob, you can call it a CX, but us normal people, we call it a sax. This is perfect. By the way, you got to have a tip bucket whenever you put this out for sale at a fair or a festival. For anyone who calls it and is dead set on it being a sax, you got to make them put a $5, That's how you make that money. No. This is very cool. So one thing that I do want to point out, so what we have here is a nice replica sax here, or sax.
Hey.
So one thing I do want to point out too is the scabbard's a little different. This one has a very good vertical hang like this, but the saxes that we have from the Viking Age actually were hung sideways like this. So they would have it hanging from their belt this way. It's a unique way of holding knives, but it's kind of neat. It has it right here ready to go, and it's also a neat way to show off quite a bit too.
Yeah.
So that is cool. I do also want to take a quick second and point out our oldest artifact in the museum collection right here, an original sax blade, probably from the Ukraine in the Viking Age. It is undergoing necessary restoration and preservation, right? Not restoration, but preservation. So it's not the best of conditions, but it's right here, and we've got it right next to your SABERSMITH sax, which is pretty cool. Now, let's take this baby out and take a look at what she's got. First of all, I love it. The red and the brown look. It looks Viking. It reminds me of Viking. This is probably going to freak out most people who are unfamiliar with saxes, is that the blade is actually here. This is the part that's the sharp part. And we're so used to like Bowie knives that have the clip point that look like this. But in reality, the sax is blade down. And there's a lot of theories as to why they do that. One is that it's good for crafting. You can use the point right here for very fine work or carving or anything like that. You could stab food and use it for eating, which is what a lot of the original saxes were used. We're not Vikings. Vikings have chainmail tongues, didn't you read? Didn't you know?
Right, that's right.
But very cool, and it also is used for chopping too. And they would actually have a war-sized version of the sax too, that they would call a lang sax or a skram sax or battle knife. But what's cool about this is if you're a pocket knife user, like modern day, you go around having a pocket knife and you like that. This is the equivalent. Humans have always liked little pocket knives. You get the Bauernwehr from the Renaissance. You get the Bowie knives from the American frontier. We've always loved our utility knives, and this is a Viking utility knife. So if you're a utility knife or a pocket knife person, this is what you would want because it's the Viking equivalent of it. And of course, the unique design is just beautiful. I like that. It's very good. So recommended if you want a Viking influence for your outfit. Probably not a historical one-per-one replica, but still very, very cool.
Nope. I'm getting distracted.
Sorry.
No, you're good. All right, this here's our Viking
sword.
Yeah, I said that right.
Yes. Cool. Awesome stuff. So very cool. I heard some people call these a Viking longsword, and it's really interesting because longsword is such a different name among most communities. In historical worlds, a longsword is a sword that you would use two hands to fight with. But disappointing truth out there, folks, Vikings never had a two-handed sword. They just didn't exist in the Viking Age. So it's fascinating detail. Speaking of, the grip on this is very long, which is good because it solves the annoying issue with the shortened grips. I didn't bring mine out. Of a true historically accurate Viking sword where their pommels would be extra small to the point where some people interpret them as being held in really weird ways to try to compensate for the pommel. But you don't have to worry about that with this one. It's great. We can all recognize the inspiration for the pommel on this one. Very Mjolnir, very Thor's hammer influenced, which is very cool. So the Viking swords were called Spatha. It's a larger family that they were a part of. And it was very good because the Spatha had really short crossguards because you would be fighting alongside a Viking shield. And you wouldn't want your long crossguards to get caught on the shield as you're fighting with it. So they have the really small crossguards to exemplify their use with the shield. Very cool. And I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it looks like there's like a wavy line along the edges on this, and I really like that.
So this is our acid etched?
Yeah, okay, cool.
So it makes it look like it's,
pattern welded like the original Viking swords
or
were.
like it's older,
Cool.
when you think of the ones that you just dug up out of the, I was going to say grave, because apparently we're digging graves now.
Well, not anymore. We don't do that. Archaeologists don't dig up graves anymore. But very cool. No, nowadays archaeologists just use magnet fishing to pull Viking swords out of creeks.
I believe it.
That was for you, 5 people who got that reference. It's a recent thing. I'm not going to make a deal out of it. But very cool. I like it. And not excessively heavy. In fact, it's very decently balanced for the weight that it has. Nice. Now, of course, we don't know exactly how the Vikings fought with their swords. We can only speculate. But this is very fun. I like it. With it, if you wanted a true, I should say, a true Viking influence rather than the kind of barbarian style that people call Vikings today. If you wanted this as part of your outfit or hanging on a mantelpiece, cutting fruit with it, very cool. I like that. And of course, this one has almost a double sharp to it. And they might have all had that, but it has the very wide beveling on the edges, and then right by the tip, it has a much finer, almost double bevel, which is very cool, very good for making sure that's very sharp and also light. Very cool. I like that one. Very nice. And of course, you got the beautiful brass-colored fittings on there. Yeah. I like it. Very neat.
All right. So that was all our questions for today, and we enjoyed swinging some swords around. I especially enjoyed hitting swords together.
Hooray,
It was satisfying.
Yeah, very.
If you guys would like any of our SABERSMITH swords, feel free to go to our website at sabersmith.com. You can check out all our social medias on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and we would love to see you guys go after them.
And while you're on Facebook, feel free to like the Swordsmanship Museum and Academy and our website, swordsmanshipmuseum.org. We are all over West Michigan if you're looking to learn how to fight with these things, just like the old warriors used to do in human history. And of course, we've got plenty of other sword-related things too, such as bringing a traveling museum or a reenactment group to your event, or if you want to bring some swords to your upcoming wedding or part of your bachelor party, we've got you covered. So keep that in mind. Like us on Facebook and the website again, swordsmanshipmuseum.org, looking to teach sword fighting across Michigan.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this for us, too. I really appreciate it.
This was amazing. It was so great that you guys came out here and we had such awesome conversations about swords.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully some of our watchers can be part of this conversation in the future.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.